1984 is a dystopian novel by the English writer George Orwell. It was published on June 8, 1949 by Secker and Warburg as Orwell's ninth and final completed book. The story is set in a dystopian future, believed to be the year 1984, where the world is locked in endless warfare and Great Britain, now called Airstrip 1, has become a province of the totalitarian superstate Oceania. This regime is ruled by Big Brother, a dictatorial figurehead upheld by a powerful cult of personality and enforced by the party's oppressive thought police. All right, so I have read 1984, which is a fantastic book, I have to say. I'm a bit sort of belated into reading this. I feel like it's a classic that I should have read earlier into my adolescence, but I've read it actually during my creative writing class in senior year of high school. And I thought it was worth making a review about for sure. But yeah, I mean, 1984 is, the novel that I have, it literally says 75th anniversary. And so throughout the years, it has been widely regarded as a very brilliant and essential novel that really challenges us readers to sort of reflect deeply on society, on freedom, on the truth, censorship, and stuff like that. The book heavily explores totalitarianism, surveillance, propaganda, the manipulation of truth in a dystopian world ruled by the omnipresent Big Brother. The Big Brother is like a metaphor for like this person that overlooks literally like every single thing that you do, and will enact sort of cruel punishment if you even try to break the rule, even ever so slightly. So, of course, it could be used as an analogy for today's society, with surveillance and people thinking that America itself has sort of become like a dictatorship or something like that. But and of course, it's so politically divided as well, and you have all these different, people in political positions that lie and manipulate the truth or spread propaganda towards other people as well. So it is, of course, it's a book that stands the test of time for sure. This was written in 1949 after World War II, and I still believe that Orwell's vision remains alarmingly relevant today, highlighting the dangers of unchecked power and the loss of individual freedoms. Whether, of course, in America, like I was talking about, or really throughout any part of the world, really. This is very much universal. I guess a thing I really like about 1984 is George Orwell uses inventive language. It sounds like he's invented his own language in this book. You have words like telescreen, thought crime, double think, Big Brother, of course, as well. And so I think all of this is very much rooted in Orwell's imagined future. And I feel like some of these terms as well are also commonplace today. Character-wise, I loved Winston Smith as a protagonist. I thought he was very relatable. He's sort of like the rebel that you kind of follow throughout the book. And he's haunted by this vague memory of a freer past. And he's a rebel in that he also keeps a diary and he makes diary entries. And he's also having like a love affair with Julia. But anyways, he's torn between the fear and desire to rebel. Even though he, I guess, would be classified as a rebel anyways. And speaking of Julia represents a very youthful defiance and passion. And she is like the key catalyst in Winston's brief awakening. And O'Brien, without spoiling too much, is like this complex figure central to the book's psychological intensity. And so, I mean, yeah, I think the characters were very well written. And the story itself, like the narrative, is it's very thrilling, to be honest. It sort of builds towards this very chilling climax in Room 101, where I won't spoil, but like Winston sort of he sort of like goes through, I guess, some torture, I'll just add, but it just basically signifies the total psychological control that Big Brother perpetuates throughout this novel, and sort of like the futility of trying to rebel. And so I really think that the final four words of this novel are super, super infamous. And they really leave like a lasting emotional impact and provoke serious reflection, like I said before, on the futility of trying to rebel against a greater machine or just, a leader that forces its rules upon others. George Orwell is also a master of irony, I have to say. There are so many ironies in this book that I really liked. You have different ministries with these types of roles, but their overall purpose is very much inverted to what the roles actually are. So you have like the Ministry of Love, which basically oversees torture. I believe like the Ministry of, I forget if it was like economics or, I don't know if it was economics, but it's probably something else. But it's like it oversees, like, it doesn't oversee, but like this is taken in a setting where there's lots of hunger going around. And so obviously that ministry is kind of useless for its name. I think you have the Ministry of Peace, which oversees war and stuff like that. So it's interesting how, like, it's very inverted. And then also the party is, basically the only thing that you're supposed to be loyal to in this society. And so you have children turning against their parents. You have husbands turning against wives. All families are just turning against each other. And you have truths that are rewritten. And so, well, for example, like there's an aspect to this novel where it sort of warns of a future where objective reality is erased. And so specifically, there's a moment where like the main character, Winston, is convinced that 2 + 2 is equal to 5, which obviously it doesn't. But if the party says so, then it is true. And so those truths are kind of rewritten, and it just like plays with your mind a lot. It's very interesting though. And yeah, I mean, overall, while I think this novel can be uncomfortable or very complex at times, I do believe it is intentionally so. And it enhances its own emotional and intellectual impact. This is a really good read. I think it's terrifyingly brilliant. The fact that it still upholds many of what it's talking about today. And so I really hope it doesn't go forgotten. I think it's a book that everyone should read at least once in their life, because I genuinely think it will change how you see the world, sort of in a new light, or maybe it will instill your previous perspective on the world anyhow. So yeah, I mean, 1984 is like I said, it's just a very brilliant book, sort of scary in a way. It kind of reminds me of the movie WALL-E in a way, because WALL-E sort of like talks about sort of like the indolence, is that the word, indolence of humans, like the laziness of human nature, and how like, actually maybe that wasn't a really good comparison, but anyways, I'm gonna give 1984 a 9 out of 10. Just basically talking about how like the future might not be what we expect, and machines and AI might rule over us one day, but I don't know. That's just like, I guess, the nihilistic way of looking at it. But yeah, 9 out of 10. Good read. That's about it. Hope you enjoyed. See ya.